I would like to introduce her, if that's okay. She's
Absolutely.
actually my acting Water Use and Conservation Bureau chief, working for the New Mexico Office of the State Engineer. She received a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Engineering from New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology, and she's got 18 years experience working with our agency. She began her career administering water rights applications, providing technical support for hydrographic surveys. And for the past 15 years, she's worked in the Water Use and Conservation Bureau. She manages a water conservation outreach program, reviews subdivision proposals, reviews and prepares technical memorandums for water development and water conservation plans, and prepares technical reports regarding irrigation and water requirements. She's a principal author of our 2005, 2010, and 2015 New Mexico Water Use by Categories report, which quantifies all the water use within the state of New Mexico. And without further ado, I'll introduce Julie Valdez. And thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time and attendance.
Okay, the Office of the State Engineer, generally speaking, has a mandate to manage the use of water rather than to strictly preserve water. However, the OSC and the Interstate Stream Commission have several programs and processes that serve to preserve New Mexico water supplies through better management. Each of the programs listed in this slide provides opportunity and challenges to preserve New Mexico's water. Water is a precious resource, especially in New Mexico's arid climate. Water conservation is vital to every community throughout the state. To help preserve water, the New Mexico Office of the State Engineer has outreach material that we provide to the public on a variety of topics that range from xeriscape to finding leaks. The Water Use and Conservation Bureau develops and publishes hands-on innovative education outreach material that is aligned with New Mexico public education standards for the classroom. We either provide the curriculum to the teachers or we present the material ourselves. Typically, our presentations are interactive and they consist of a brief discussion, and then we break out into sessions with hands-on learning with the students. We also developed a list of outdoor tools that help preserve water. We have the New Mexico plant list and the plant app. They include references for hundreds of plants to choose from when designing low water use landscapes which thrive in little or no supplemental water. The New Mexico Landscape Irrigation Calculator works like a smart water controller. It provides a personalized irrigation calendar. You can visit our website for more information and details about these tools. I'm going to be going back and forth on my slides because I had them set up a little differently. In 2013, our office prepared New Mexico's Water Conservation Planning Guide for Public Water Suppliers. It's also known as Technical Report 53. The purpose of creating Technical Report 53 was to provide a guidance document that all public water suppliers could utilize when preparing water conservation plans. So why should a public water supply system develop a conservation plan? Number one is currently to qualify for Water Trust Board funding, applicants who divert more than 500 acre feet must have a water conservation plan written in accordance to our Technical Report 53. Number two, conditions of approval for water right applications such as change purpose and place of use, extension of times, or new appropriations typically require that a conservation plan be submitted. And number three, it's essentially a good idea to write conservation plan in order to be prepared and manage a public water system effectively. Water conservation plans are required to both have the American Water Works Association audit and a GPCD calculator. The American Water Audit provides a systematic method to organize water diversions, data, and track its path through the distribution system. The audit focuses on supply side. The complete audit provides baseline data for a number of different system matrix. One of the primary benefits of the audit is that it allows a public water system to identify real losses. In 2009, the OSC developed a standard methodology for computing gallons per capita per day. The GPCD calculator methodology is used by the OSC to track municipal water use over time. It provides a baseline data of historical and current water use. The calculator focuses on demand side. It's a useful tool to help public water suppliers analyze the results of their water use and determine how to create appropriate conservation measures and programs to specific end users based on their water conservation behaviors. How are the OSC water use program and water preservation related? Drought is not the only circumstance which water shortage occurs. Population growth or migration can also cause shortages by overburdening water supplies. Therefore, water preservation is an important consideration in water planning. Subdivision review and water development plans fall under the OSC's water use program. The Subdivision Act requires counties to develop rules for quantifying a subdivision's water needs, assessing the availability of the water needs, and conserving water. The OSC conducts reviews of subdivision proposals at the request of the county to ensure compliance with the county code and the Subdivision Act. Reducing the water demand in subdivisions may add years of life to an aquifer. Indoor water use can reduce outdoor water use by installing plumbing fixtures and appliances. In any new construction, county regulations require that this happens. Outdoor water use can be kept to a minimum by installing low water use landscape. Typically, hot tubs, swimming pools, or garden are not permitted in developments. And then in our review process, we ensure that subdivision proposals meet all the requirements of the codes and the act. In some instances, we recommend that the developer consider more stringent outdoor water use requirements. The OC also has other rules related to land and water use. The Water Use and Conservation Bureau reviews water development plans, also known as 40-year water plans, which are written documents developed by public water suppliers to assess the amount of water needed to meet the current and future water demands in relation to the amount of water held by the permittee. State statutes require that the water development plan be filed with an application to appropriate water or transfer water rights, where the water right will be held unused or undeveloped. Office requires at a minimum that a water development plan contain a summary of the current water rights, diversion for the past 5 years, a GPCD calculator, an audit, population projections, and water demand projections. As part of the conservation component of the water development plan, we require that they provide a discussion of their conservation efforts, their goals, GPCD reduction, if any, and then the staff that they have devoted for the implementation of their conservation plan. The Drought Task Force was established in 1988 and is chaired by the state engineer, who oversees the implementation of drought preparedness activities in the state of New Mexico. Additionally, the Drought Task Force plays a major role in intergovernmental drought preparedness, response, coordination, agency collaboration, and media information releases. The Drought Task Force is the singular official channel to the governor for drought planning activities in the state. The governor calls upon the Drought Task Force to provide drought updates and recommendations and is the final authority in declaring drought emergencies. The governor typically issues emergency drought declarations in the form of executive orders. In the past 20 years, there's been 5 executive orders issued by governors. The Drought Task Force receives their updates from the Drought Monitoring Work Group, chaired by the state climatologist. The Drought Monitoring Work and this is a list of the agencies that are part of the Drought Monitoring Work Group. We meet monthly and we look at different types of data to assess the drought, which it's either hydrologic, climate. We also make recommendations to the Drought Task Force on potential executive orders. This is a list of some of the triggers from the update to the 2018 drought plan. We went from having 7 to 2. I'm not going to go over the triggers because they're listed in this slide, but essentially it was a big change, and we've actually been using some of these triggers and had our first drought task force meeting back in September. The Water Rights Division administers water rights through New Mexico under the New Mexico Constitution, that all groundwater and surface water belongs to the public and are subject to appropriation under the doctrine of prior appropriation, which provides that earlier appropriations have higher priority over later appropriations. Anyone who wants to use either surface or groundwater has to obtain a permit from the state engineer, but before we grant that permit, we try to ensure that the application is not going to impair any existing rights, will be contrary to conservation, and will not is not detrimental to public welfare. Active water resource management is the state engineer's critical water management initiative to address continuing drought, increasing variability in the New Mexico water supplies, and to increase demand for water. The state engineer has AWRM tools that help do this, which are actively managing real-time distribution of water to prevent waste and to ensure that water rights owners do not exceed their legal right, implement priority administration of water rights in times of shortage, and ensure New Mexico continue compliance with interstate obligations. These comprehensive tools allow the OSC to effectively manage water resources, protect senior water rights, and meet interstate delivery compacts. This slide here shows what the real-time network looks like. It's essentially it's a network of streams, acequia ditches, and well monitoring sites that electronically transmit data values via radio and satellite telemetry and store the data in the database. You can obtain real-time data from our website. I listed that below on the slide. There are 7 priority AWRM basins. At this time, we have specific rules for the Nambe, Huaquetesuque Water Master District. And I'm just going to go over, there's some other options that are available through AWRM, which include shortage agreements, voluntary rotation, and water banking. I'm not going to discuss those briefly because of the time here. And I'm just going to go into water planning here. This year's annual water conference theme is meeting New Mexico's pressing water needs, challenges, successes, and opportunities, which I think goes hand in hand with water planning, which is essential to the wise management of New Mexico's limited water supplies. The regional and state water plans are vital tools intended to guide water management in the state and now and into the future. By state statute, the Interstate Stream Commission has the authority to implement the state regional water plans. In 1999 and 2000, between 1999 and 2008, the IEC accepted 16 regional water plans. In 2016 through 2017, all these 16 regional water plans were updated. The purpose of the update was to provide new information related to water planning and to evaluate future water planning and demand for each region using a common technical approach. In order for the IEC to link the regional water plans to the state water plan, the IEC collaborated with the OSC to revise the method for calculating the region's future water supply and water demand gap to provide consistency among regions and across the state for purposes of prioritizing investment in programs, policies, and projects to address water infrastructure and management issues. In 2018, the 2018 state water plan has 3 major components, which is policy, technical report, and a legal section. You can find all these 3 sections on our website. I won't discuss them any further. And really where we're at compared to other states, the Alliance for Water Efficiency is a nonprofit dedicated to the efficiency and sustainability use of water across North America. AWE advocates for water efficiency products and programs and provides information and assistance on water conservation efforts. The Water Efficient and Conservation State Scorecard, which is shown here, is an assessment of state laws. The assessment is based on surveys results from all 50 states. In 2017, AWE surveyed all the states and identified efficiencies and conservation laws using a 20-pronged questionnaire, which broadly addressed whether the states required or offered fundamental conservation planning. One of the survey questions, just to give you an idea, was, does the state have a water consumption regulation for toilets? Even though, I mean, we got some points because the state doesn't have an official statute that states we have to have that, but county regs or public water utilities have that. So we didn't get points for those types of questions. But each state received a grade for efficiency and conservation and a separate grade for climate. The methodology used to score these states is described in their 2017 report. So we received a grade of C, which means that we have room for improvement. However, there will have to be changes in legislation for our score to change. So in conclusion, New Mexico's water use continues to decrease even as population increases. The water use decrease cannot only be attributed to the programs and processes the OSC has in place to preserve water, but for what the state is doing as a whole to conserve water. I know I went through my presentation really quickly. I'm happy to take questions in the chat, or contact information is listed here. You can call me or email me with any further questions.